All right, CELPIP reading test. We are going to work on speed. Full reading test from the beginning to end. Follow along with me as I take the test. Let's go. All right, so today I'll be heading over to HZad Education, CLB.com. We're doing reading test. After you log in, you'll see all of these prompts. Today we're doing reading test number 1 because this is a new test. And down here we have new test available. So we're going to go ahead. Now remember, this is a speed game. So 10 minutes on the clock. On part number A, I'm going to read through the text and answer the questions. But first, I want to know what are the questions. So let's go ahead. What is Jeff and Martin's relationship? Okay, so these are the two main characters. We need to know their relationship. Why was Jeff organizing everything? How would you describe his attitude? What possessions of Martin was moved? What was another worry of Jeff? Good. Okay, how does Jeff finish his letter? So that I could probably answer very quickly. How does he finish his letter? Blaming himself, asking for, reflecting on 1,000 apologies. How does Jeff finish his letter? By blaming himself, reflecting, offering compensation. Okay, well, he blames himself. He says 1,000 apologies, and that's a statement of blaming yourself. All right, I can change this answer later. Let's go through. We have Martin is writing and Jeff is receiving the letter. Parking garage problem. Please regard this as a letter of apology for the recent problems that I've caused you by moving your belongings in the parking garage without your permissions. Okay, so this is the reason why Jeff is sending the letter. Yes, this is the reason why Jeff is sending the letter. What possessions? Okay, we don't know yet. Believe me, I had no intention of causing issue. Over the long weekend, I decided to rearrange my space and install some new shelving on the front opposite wall of the parking space. I thought I would tidy up the garage. Okay, so he was tidying up the garage. Why was he organizing everything? He thought it looked messy. He wanted, yes. Okay, he thought it looked messy. I also wanted to tidy up the garage. It was also during this process that I noticed that your boxes were out of order, what I thought was dangerously close to the electric heating element. I'm going to come back to this question. So I took the liberty of moving the boxes to the other side. It didn't occur to me that I had time to block the entry at the exit of the passenger side of the vehicle. Okay, so it looks like he blocked the entry or exit, and that was causing an annoyance. After you brought this to my attention on Monday, I immediately moved your boxes back to where they were stored originally. Okay. As you suggested, by stacking them carefully, I was able to place them there so that there was sufficient safe clearance from the heating element. Good. I trust you will find everything in order. 1,000 apologies. Good. With you before moving your belongings. I can now see how it would have upset you after you return home, after the holiday weekend to find your belongings moved for no apparent reason. All I can say is it won't happen again. All right, I've read the story, the letter. Now I can safely go through the questions. What is their relationship? Neighbors. I would say neighbors because he didn't seem too friendly, but they share a parking garage. Why was just Jeff organizing everything? Okay, I'm a little bit unsure about this messy question because it also seems like he had free time on his hands. The reason I say this is because, where was it? Over the long weekend, I decided to arrange the space. So he wanted to rearrange everything because he had free time. He only wanted to rearrange Martin's stuff because it was messy. So he had free time is better. How would you describe Jeff's attitude? Jeff is the writer. So Jeff seems very apologetic, and that's an answer. Perfect. Straightforward. Okay, we'll go with apologetic. What possessions of Martin was moved? Some boxes. Some boxes or belongings. Oh, that's like the same thing. So boxes, because that's our closest answer. Boxes. Yeah. Your boxes. Your boxes. What was another worry of Jeff's? The heating element. Unclean? No, if he would accept stacking the height. I think stacking the height because, well, it was more about the heating element. So he didn't actually care about the height. Maybe it's about his apology. I trust, yeah. All I can say is that it won't happen again. Okay, we're gonna go with if Martin will accept his apology. Okay, so we're done the first section. Now we're going to look at the response from Martin to Jeff, and we're going to complete the sentences provided. We're pretty good on time. We have about 5 minutes left, so I'm feeling fairly confident. That gives me time to double check. Thank you for taking out the time to explain everything. Although I was, I later realized that you were just trying to help. So in this word, I'm thinking it's going to be something like annoyed, upset, aggravated, because he uses the transitional word although. So the sentence is going to have two contrasts. I was angry, although I was happy. Or although I was angry, I was then happy. So two contrasting feelings. And right here we have upset at first. That seems like the best answer. Although I was upset at first, I later realized you were just trying to help. Perfect. After something, I just didn't want any surprises, and Sarah was a little upset when she. Okay, I imagine this is going to be about their holiday. After returning home from our holiday, after arriving home, because Jeff said that in the letter. Somewhere here, after he came back from his holiday, it might be annoying to see his boxes moved. So let's take a look. After the long weekend, the long drive, the tiring drive home, the rainy weather. Ooh, they are all about time, except for weather. We don't know it was a tiring drive. Nobody said that. However, we do know it's a long weekend. So we don't know about the drive. We only know it's the long weekend. We are not making inferences. We are only selecting correct answers. I just didn't want any surprises, and Sarah was a little upset when when she couldn't find the boxes. She couldn't get out of the car. She lost her stuff. She had to search through something I can't see. Search through or was close to the heating element. She would be upset about, I guess, not getting out of the car. Because, where did they say it? Block the entry and exit on the passenger side of your vehicle. Sarah is likely on the passenger side, so she couldn't get out of the vehicle. Also, when I came back on Monday, because it's a long holiday, yeah, I noticed the stacked box. Okay, so also when I came back on Monday, this is after Jeff fixed everything, so he would have noticed the final result. Came back, he would have noticed the stacked boxes. No books, no new shelves. He wouldn't notice the other side of the garage. So, stacked boxes. All right, we have a minute and a half left. At home or during the exam, take that time to review your answers. There were some of them that I wasn't sure about. But I'm going to go ahead and press next. Reading test number 2. We are getting a diagram. So we're going to have to study the diagram. Now, it's a little bit short, but we can zoom in and answer the questions. All right, so here is the description. Here is the essay. And then we're going to read the response and choose the correct answers. First, I'm going to take a quick look just to make sure I know what we're talking about. So it's an email, and it's a description of an email. We have the comma. Okay, so make sure the comma, leave a line to adjust the greeting. This is describing how to write a formal email or a letter. Address. Okay, make sure your address is here. You do not need to put periods or commas. Good. Put the date. Yes. Introduction, good. Leave a line between paragraphs, good. All paragraphs should start against the margin, good. A sign off, separate line. Okay, so the sign off, conclusion, introduction, body, conclusion. Okay, so we're describing a paragraph. Let's see. This is a letter from a teacher because it says students. I only have 7 minutes left. Dear students, have a look at the letter format above. The first thing you will notice from my email today is that the letter in question 1 is, the letter in question 1 is detailed, friendly, what is it? Is informal, knowledgeable, not very detailed because it just gives quick blurbs. So let's go with informal because this is an informal letter. All the best, dear Granny, how are you doing? Yeah, that's an informal letter. Okay, informal. As you can notice from the few instructions, the something is not what many think it is. The format, the sign off, the punctuation, the margin. The margin is acceptable. The punctuation. Let's look at the sign off. All the best. All the best is not a classic sign off like sincerely, yours truly. So the sign off is not what you might expect. To further this point, this gives us a hint. I will also add that you may avoid wasting unnecessary time by avoiding commas, keeping it structured, writing fewer paragraphs. To further this, I will also add that you may avoid wasting unnecessary time by keeping it structured. That makes sense because B is not correct. They use lots of lines. Commas, well, we need commas. That doesn't help us add or waste time. It's grammar. Writing fewer paragraphs, this one has like 4 paragraphs, so I don't think so. It's very structured. Very structured, like a classic email. It is easy to tell what Clint writes. That he writes with too many detailed, near perfect letter with too much emotion to his granny often. Okay, it's not a perfect letter. It doesn't have too many details. I don't see any emotion. It's not very emotion. He's very matter of fact. But I'm reckoning that he writes to his granny often because he says, hey, how are you doing? Things are well. That's very common. He also has a technique where he communicates his thoughts by writing the whole thing with a structure that breaks down into details into main parts. Oh, how many main parts does he have? Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the introduction. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 main parts. It's definitely not 4, it's not 2, it's not 3, 7. 7 main parts. I would need you to do all your research and check for similar formats. Okay, I don't need to read that. Using the drop down, Mike. Mike is the... Who is Mike? Who is Mike? Dear Granny. Clint. Clint is the sender. Who is Mike? Okay, I don't know who Mike is. What does the teacher think of this letter? Is Mike here? No. What does the teacher think of this letter? It's like acceptable, but it's not perfect. It's just acceptable. Let's see. Best version, probably not. He wants the class to not to write like this. No, he said, please use this. It's impressive. I didn't get that. I believe he thinks it's flawed because he does point out that some things are not standard. It might not be what you think it is. It might not be the perfect example. So, flawed. What can we do to conclude about the students from this letter? What can we conclude about the students? They are lazy. They cannot live up to Mike's standards. Ooh, is Mike the teacher? Okay. They always fail. They always feel pressured. Ooh, we don't know. Okay, we actually don't know about the students because it's the teacher sending an email to the students. So far, we haven't heard from the students. We don't know if they are lazy. We don't know if they always fail, but that was never mentioned. And we don't know if they feel pressured. There's no mention of them. I'm guessing it's B. Let's see if I can confirm that. They cannot live up to his standards. Ah, the last exam was very disappointing. Okay, good. And now we know that Mike is the teacher just from inferring from the questions. So Mike sets the class expectation clearly. He's very detailed. No. He went over the letter fairly quickly. Yes. Or he expects way too much from this class. Not really. He just said, please use this email. So I think he went over it fairly quickly. This is only a short paragraph to describe what he wants from the students. Okay. A minute left. We're doing well. Use this time to double check your answers. I'm not. Because I just hope that they're true. All right. Next section. Again, we have 10 minutes to go through this. Now we are going to have several different paragraphs here. Paragraph A all the way to, well, E, but not given, D. This one tends to be the hardest. So what you're going to do is look for information here, and then you're assigning a paragraph to each statement. E means not given. And remember, not given is the hardest because, well, you might be looking and looking for that answer. So just be careful. Okay, so we're going to look through questions first. Application of temporary magnets. Oh, this is about magnets. Okay, temporary magnets. The reason why compasses work. Okay, I will look for compasses or the reasons. Conflicting qualities of the pole. Okay, we're talking about magnets like north and south pole. Correlation between size and output. Not in the coil. I would look for words like coil, electrical flow. Unseen forces. I don't know what that means. One pole attracts more than the other. That might be the same as this paragraph, perhaps. Changes in property of an element, and magnetic field theory is the most important concept about magnetism. Okay, we only have 8 minutes. Paragraph 1. Magnets are easy to understand. Amusing. You can read at home. I need to skim read because we only have 10 minutes. Two magnets snap together like glue. They push and pull like magnet. Magnetism is another property of some kind of matter. A magnet has a north and south pole. No, I don't know. The north pole of a magnet will attract and the south pole of a magnet. The north pole of a magnet will resist and the south pole will also resist. In short, where did we talk about poles? North and south pole. Conflicting poles. Conflicting poles, north and south pole. That seems like paragraph A. Because poles is like the north and south of a magnet. Yeah, okay. That seems good. We'll keep reading. Two different kinds of permanent magnets are called bar magnets and horseshoe magnets. The area surrounding the magnet is called magnetic field. Magnetic field is an invisible field which created by magnetism. Ooh! Unseen forces, magnetic field. Yes. Invisible, unseen. Perfect synonyms. Okay. The magnetic field is invisible. Okay. To ancient people, magnetism probably seemed like magic. These forces, the forces of magnets to attract or repel each other or to attract other object is called by moving electrons. Do we have anything about that? No? Okay. We're going to think about that. C. The Earth also contains magnetic materials behaving like giant magnets. Northern pole will point approximately to the North Pole and the South Pole. This also talks about the pole, but that's the pole of the Earth, not the pole of magnets. A compass has a magnetic tip on the needle. Compasses are used to help people prevent, such as getting lost, hiking ships, especially many years ago where there was no GPS. Do we have anything about that? The reason why they work? No. Maybe like advantages. Magnetic may also be used to convert unmagnetized piece of magnetic material such as iron, nail. It is also done by rubbing it into the magnet. This is called magnetization. Magnets made this way are called temporary magnets because they eventually lose. Applications. Applications of temporary magnets. So, oh, okay, temporary. Good. That's what I was looking for. Here they talk about temporary magnets, but they don't talk about the application. Now, I'm going to want to read paragraph D because I saw this word again. Let's see if they share how to apply it. Apply it by using electricity. By using electricity. This is wrapping around a nail, around a coil. Okay, good. I'm going to start by doing 1D because that was but then we also talk about a coil. A knot in a coil stops the electric flow. Okay. By wrapping a nail, by passing electricity through the coil of the wire, iron will be temporary magnet. The strength of the electron depends on the size. I don't know. It talks about the coil, but it doesn't talk about the stopping of the coil. The strength of the electromagnetic depends on the size of the electric current and the number of times the coil is wrapped around the nail. If the electricity stops flowing through the coil, the nail will no longer be magnetic. There are many uses for permanent magnets and temporary magnets like electromagnet. The uses, so we're talking about many uses. Electric motors, magnetics turn into electricity. Another example includes toothbrush, fans, lawnmowers. Okay, do we have something about... No, the reason why they work... Changes. Okay, I thought we had something about the uses, but we don't. Okay, and freaking magnets are also used to read data. Hard drive. Okay, headphones. Now we don't really need. And not given. I have many missed answers. Okay, the reason why compasses work. Where did we read this? The reason why they work. The reason why they work. I think it's about this section. The north pole of a magnetic will point to the Earth's north pole, and the south. That seems like the closest. The reason why they work is B, the north and south pole. Correlation between size and output. I don't remember where we read that. 7. One pole attracts more than the other. Well, we talked a lot about poles. North pole would attract the south pole. The north pole of the magnet resists the south pole resists. Well, that's equal. That's equal. The north will resist the south will resist the north. That's equal. And then when we talked about the poles here, it just says that it gets attracted to the north and the south pole. So I'm going to say that this one is E because I know where they talk about the north poles and they didn't say one was more than the other. Okay, changes in the property of an element. We did talk about this. We did talk about this. In the properties of the element, the materials convert unmagnetized piece of material such as iron. This is done by rubbing. Magnets made this way contemporary magnets because they will lose their magnetism. Is that changing the property? Kind of. So we're going from like magnetized to non-magnetized. I'm not really sure about this one. 8, changing magnetic or not magnetic. So, I don't know. The magnetic field theory is the most important concept. I never heard anything about it's the most important or we must do it. So E. We have a lot. Okay, correlation between output and input. What is output and input? The number of times depends on the size. Ooh. Okay. The strength of the electromagnetic depends on the size of the electric current and the number of times the coil is wrapped around the nail. That seems right. That seemed right. I don't have a lot of time, so we're going with D. Where did we talk about the coil? Coil, that was somewhere here. So I'm also going to say D for this one. And not in the coil, stop the electric flow. And changes in the property element, I found that answer. I think I'm going to go with this one because changes in the property of an element, a magnet has elements like positive and negative iron elements or positive negative atoms, although they don't mention that. And then doing this, like rubbing the magnet, that changes it from positive to negative. So that's my closest guess. This is hard. Okay, 25 seconds. I'm not going to check. This is as close as I can get to correct. I hope. Okay. No time to waste. We are moving so fast today. Right. The last section here, we're reading a debate, an argument between two different sides. We're going to hear from a few different people. Usually it's two different opinions, sometimes three. So I already see Jack Moore, Ian Nelson. Looks like two. We'll answer some questions, and then below we'll have to look at the response. Wow, Ian. All right, so kind of looks like topic number one, reading question number one. First, I'm going to look at my questions. To what extent is Jack against music? To what extent, like how much? Jack and Ian, okay, that's about their opinions. Ian Nelson is aware of youth, okay, and exaggerates, all right. Against which group was sarcasm used? Okay, sarcasm, oh, we're looking at other subjects like teenagers or humans. Humans! According to Ian, which of the following is not impact? Financial, social, political. All right, so I have a really good idea. Now I'm going to start reading, looking at my opinions from Jack Moore and Ian, and then I'll answer. Jack Moore is 18 years old. He's quite different from the rest of his generation to his intense dislike towards music. What is his extent against music? Great extent. We can answer that. Intense dislike. Music, he believes, is very baseless and meaningless concept where people just react to some noise. They would either sing along or dance along to a melody, which is at the core a combination of very basic sounds made in vibrations, stringed together, of matter. There is nothing more to it. It does not provide any value or goods or services usually provide. In fact, the most random thing on this planet has the most non-random impact. Interesting. To elaborate, he talks about how the music industry is a multi-billion-dollar empire with North America and probably worth trillions worldwide, influence taken into account. Then this word triggers me more, aka influence. It is poison, especially for our generation. It can cloud the youth's judgment. You often see the passed out teenagers on the dance floor as well as the metalheads who insist on looking anything but normal when under the trance of music. All right, so he's speaking pretty firmly against people. I did see a word about teenagers. You often see passed out teenagers on the dance floor. Is that sarcasm? Because that's where he talked about sarcasm. Well, that's where they mentioned teenager. Yeah, that could be sarcasm. It is a poison. It can cloud your judgment. You see passed out teenagers. Yeah, okay, well, let's go with that. If I want to change later, I can. Ian, however, is 67 years old. He's a senior. He goes by the complete opposite argument, even though you would think on the contrary. For him, he misses how music rejuvenated him during his youth through motivation and provided for him when he was down. As a teenager, I would suffer a lot with depression, along with mental and psychological struggles, just like any normal teenager. Yep. When music was always the light at the end of the tunnel for me, lifting my spirits up and helping me get through hard times. All right, he loves music. What's interesting about Jack's argument is that he also mentions possibility of bigger benefits of music that is towards the economic area where it creates jobs for millions. Okay. So he's Ian Nelson also, I don't know. It is, after all, a service that provides value. Entertainment is a value that cannot be overlooked. If you want to think about what music does on the dance floor, makes the weakest presentations or business advertisements into something that captivates people's attention and make them listen to it. It becomes a force reckoned with. It is a complement to movies, occasional marriages, funerals, memory albums, and more. If this were not a service needed, then there wouldn't be so many things like movies, messages, or decorating houses. We can live without all those things too, but the point is that some things just make us happier as human beings, appear to have no meaning. All right, I'm going to answer these questions here. Ian and Jack have different opinions due to their ages. That's true. Wait. They have different opinions, but it's not due to their ages. They are pessimistic and optimistic, respectively. Respectively, no. No, I don't know. Wait. Maybe. Cannot agree on a single point. Both comment on the randomness of music. This is hard. I think, well, like, pessimistic and optimistic. I don't know, though, because Ian said that he was depressed when he was younger. He would be the second guy, the optimistic. And also, Jack is not necessarily pessimistic. He just doesn't like music. Although he does seem like a pessimist. Both comment on the randomness of music. They do. They cannot agree on a single point. All right, I'm going to come back to that. Ian Nelson is aware of youth issues, enjoys music with something else, exaggerates by saying, okay, he's aware of youth issues because he talked about mental illness like all other children, he said, which is normal for youth. According to Ian, which of the following is not an impact of music? Ian's the second guy. Financial, he talked about the economy. He talked about social and psychological, so political. I didn't see anything about politics here. No, the other ones I'm pretty confident about. But Jack and Ian, this is hard because it's not A. It could be B. I don't think it's C because Ian seemed to say, like, I can agree or I can see your point in some ways. He said, what's interesting is that he also mentioned the biggest benefit. So he agrees that the economy thrives because of music. I don't remember him commenting on the randomness. Okay, we're going with optimistic and pessimistic. Jack is pessimistic and Ian is optimistic. All right, we're looking at the response. I only gave myself 4 minutes left, which is not really enough time. So let's go. Wow, Ian completely won this argument. Really? Yeah, I guess so. Just by explaining the various what? Uses, job opportunity, movies, social factors. Okay, could be uses or social factors, but social factors would just mean what happens in society. So I think uses of music, because he talked about the economy, weddings, funerals, blah, blah, blah. As well as his something, which makes it all more real for him. His experience, his childhood story, his life story, his memories, his career. We're going to say life story because he talked about being a teenager, not a child, which makes it all the more real. He's also correct about how it assists people in. What does it assist people in? Clout chasing, officer job hunting. Not cheap advertising, office meetings, job hunting. Ugh. This is hard. Presentations, advertisements. Well, even the weakest presentations. So maybe cheap advertisements. Because it's definitely not office meetings or job huntings. Let's go on a limb. We're going to click cheap advertising. It is kind of awkward when he compares music to something like movies or message, but I see where he's going. Music to, what does he compare to? Compares music to like movies or messages. Similar areas. Maybe entertaining services. Yeah, okay. Is it questionable? Wait, let's see if it's questionable. Like movies, marriages, it's so much more. I'm gonna say entertainment services. Yeah. What's ironic is that Jack complains about how music does not provide value, and then he goes on to talk about how Metalhead and people in the nightclub enjoy it so much. I think Jack needs to be more open-minded, loosen up, be less aggressive. Not C or D. A or B, that's kind of subjective. To be more open-minded or to loosen up a bit. I'm going to say be more open-minded because this is a subject about our thoughts, our ideas about music. So he doesn't need to relax. He needs to allow new ideas to come into his head. So open-minded. I have 1 minute and 40 seconds. Wow, we blasted through this section of the test. I'm pretty positive about that. So what we're going to do is go ahead and press next. And on our platform, on the HZad education platform, we get our results right here, right now, which I'm kind of okay with. I don't know. Let's take a look. Ooh, that didn't look good. Oh no. Oh no. Job hunting. Oh my God. Okay, let's check through. This doesn't look good at all. Part number 1. Okay, Martin's other family members, really reflecting on the situation. I guess, okay, that I got wrong. After the long weekend, the tiring drive home, really? Okay. This is not good. This is not good. This is really not good. Okay, a margin line using less lines with too many details. Really? 3. No, there was very clearly 7. He went over it too quickly. Flawed. They feel less pressured. Okay. Next one. The reason. Okay, this one I did pretty well. So this was the matching the paragraphs. Good. Just 2 wrong. And the last one, again, not very good. Ian and Jack have different opinions due to their age. Really? I didn't think it was their age. It was kind of ironic. Metalheads. Metalheads. Okay. Job hunting, random things. So I'm honestly a little bit nervous to see what my total mark is, but let's go ahead and press next. I'm not thinking CLB 6. No, okay. So I need to practice this a lot more. Even for me, this was incredibly challenging. Biggest challenge is speed. So on the HZad platform, you're going to get a detailed feedback of where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. Right here, I have some strengths, but I have lots of weaknesses, like attention to detail, suggestion, inference skills. And beyond this, we're also going to get a step-by-step process on how I can improve in the future. So let's take a look here. Now, it's going to give me some areas for improvement. It's nice and well organized, so I know exactly what I need to do. And then I have a 2-week action plan. The 2-week action plan really takes me through day 1, day 3, day 7, day 9, etc. And it's going to give me some advice on how much time I should spend studying for everything. So day 4 to 6, we're doing reading comprehension. Day 7 to 9, I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes and practice the reading section. Now, you should follow this quite strictly. This is a very tried and tested program that is going to help you to boost your score. Honestly, I should be practicing it too because I didn't like my CLB score today. And then we get a motivational message. So if you follow along on the HZad platform, you're going to have all the feedback that you need to get the score that you want. Matter is, you just have to work towards it and keep practicing. Then if you're done taking the reading test, do go ahead and do the speaking, writing, and listening so you can calculate your CLB in total. If you're taking the exam soon, be sure to comment down below to let us know how soon you will plan to take the exam. If you found this video helpful, do go ahead, like, and subscribe to the channel. It just helps us to keep publishing new videos every week. I'm Scott from HZad, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.